So then, Steve, obviously we've worked together, sort of with obviously pre-Corteco. We've also had the pleasure of working with you at Corteco as well. And one of the areas I wanted to talk to you about is maybe your own personal journey with us. And Glen Callum Associates as a recruiter for you. We talked a lot to candidates about their experience and their journey, but seldom do we talk to clients about the way that they found our services. So can you just give us the backdrop of how you come to use us and why, and maybe we can just talk a little bit about the milestones that we achieved with you during that process?
Yeah, so I was looking for a key account manager, and at that point I was kind of looking for internal candidates, so that's like always where we would look first. But at that point, no one was really available in the UK that was going to fill the role the way that I saw it. So then I went on to LinkedIn and was trying to find people on there. And I kind of just ended up going down a whole load of rabbit holes with that process. Then we did something with the HR team, and which was kind of cool. We had a lot of candidates, but it was a little bit generic. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll go back on LinkedIn again. So I started doing that. And literally, I just suddenly, I don't know why I didn't think about it before, but it was like I thought, why don't I just ring Glen? And then we had a conversation, and the next thing we were doing the speed dating thing that you do, which was, I think it's a really, really cool idea. So I think we saw 15, 20 candidates in a very short time, and you could quickly see, who was, we've spoken about how important cultural fit is, and that enabled us to shortlist incredibly quickly. So went through all of that. You furnished with me with all the CVs and background, so you could do all of that initial investigation, then do the speed dating, and then you think, right, now we've got half a dozen or so candidates that we can start to get down to a short list. And as I said to you, I was just kicking myself because I'd wasted so much time, trying to do it myself. When it had just been easier just to pick up the phone or send you an email. And I thought, I'm never going to get that time back again. So,
just out of interest, how did you? Because obviously we're recruitment, we use LinkedIn. There is an art to it. How did you find doing your own thing on LinkedIn?
Frustrating, because I think particularly because I enjoy developing people within our organisation. So I thought if I could get a graduate, that'd be cool. We'll find someone fresh out of uni, and then we'll try and develop them on that way. And because it's a lot more different to trying to. Ideally, I'd have found somebody that maybe had come from the distribution background. But without having, I can't start banging on everyone's front counter to see it wouldn't happen to have anyone spare that we could train up. And I needed somebody that was going to be like at a certain caliber. So I thought, okay, well, let's try this route. But then, there's certain people that you find on LinkedIn, which they've just graduated, but they're CEO of their own company, which had just themselves in it. And in a lot of cases, they were a little bit disingenuous in terms of, you look at their LinkedIn profile and it's fantastic, but the reality of what you're getting is different. So
did you find it time consuming too?
Oh God, yeah. I just the evenings that I spent just literally, going through, LinkedIn profiles. And it never ceases to amaze me, some of the things people put on LinkedIn. It's another story.
It's a misconception. obviously, LinkedIn's a great tool if used correctly. We use it 24/7, and we still don't have enough time to, thoroughly use it, 100% of the time, because it's so labour intensive, and a lot of people don't see that. All that you guys see is when we come to you with the candidates, you don't see the groundwork that we've done beforehand. You don't really care because you're just looking for something to fill a slot. So we kind of use it as a tool alongside everything else that we've got. And I think with yourselves also, because of our pedigree in the aftermarket, 26 years, we kind of used our own network as well and maximised that. So we can put our hands on people pretty quickly, because we're having those sorts of conversations every day. Interesting, you mentioned the speed dating, or we call it meet the employer sessions. How did you find that?
Yeah, that was fantastic, because having doing the LinkedIn thing where you might look at 50 or 100 profiles to find one person you think might be worth contacting.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're like, well, here's 20 candidates. You're like, wow, okay, I spent hours looking for like 3 people. And suddenly, you know, I had a whole choice of people that we could look at. So, and again, in terms of finding that cultural fit, that person with a twinkle in their eye, you know, very quickly you can say, yeah, that person could work in our organisation. And in fact, the person that we ended up employing, you know, I pretty much made up my mind in the speed dating. Just a couple of things that they said, I thought they'd fit perfectly into organisation, because that cultural fit you could immediately see was there. So yeah, for sure we had to go through all the formal process, but you know, you just get a connection and you just say, that's the person I'm looking for. And that was evident within the first 5 minutes of that particular speed date.
I mean, the reason we use that, the meet the employer session, is twofold really. One, good talent is being snapped up really quickly right now. So to go through a long, laborious recruitment process, you know, to be disappointed at the end. So we decided to try and, you know, tie candidate and employer together really quick early in the process. So we've designed what we call Meet the Employer session, which we went through. And part of that also is appealing for the candidate, because the candidate gets to meet you in the early parts of the process. So, you know, they're not going to work for me, we're just the introducer. So again, said candidate that we placed with you, you know, felt he got a connection with you straight away and kind of voiced that opinion, you know, early stages. So again, it helps towards the decision-making process too.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is, it gives you an angle from an employer's point of view in terms of the way that we operate and we handle your process. So not only are we taking people through that successful, we're doing our best to let down the people that we're saying no to, and we do it in a quick and informed fashion, you know, rather than sort of leave people hanging on for 2 or 3 weeks. They can know next day. So we kind of use that process really to, you know, promote you as an employer, and any candidate that comes into the process, you know, even if they've had a negative response, they still get a positive experience with Corteco and yourself. So that's why we do that. And you know, in terms of timing and stuff like that, how did you feel that we handled the process from a, you know, look, Glenn, I need someone now to, actually, we've found someone, we're going to send out an employment contract? Yeah,
that was incredibly fast. But I really like your point there about the opportunity to meet with us, because that is as equally important, you know, that they get to say, right, you know, this is the organisation, the person I'm going to be working for.
Yeah.
So they've got that peace of mind themselves. So that is, you know, a hugely important point. And it was good for us that, you know, we got into the formal process, but it got to the point where I could just then hand over to the HR department, and they did all the formalities of everything else, and you guys just took care of that. So for me, I only really had to do the speed dating bit, narrow down the candidates, and even after the second round, I think it was a really tough choice, because I ended up with 3 really solid candidates. So I could have offered any one of them the job and been happy. But yeah, we had one outstanding and thankfully he decided to go ahead. Again, we've gone through all of the stuff we spoke about in terms of the onboarding and everything else. And yeah, I couldn't be happier with that choice. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a system that we're going to progress with and we're going to carry on. It's been very successful. We launched it 2 years ago. We're using it pretty much every day in our business, so that's kind of working for us. It's also working for our clients as well, and you know, if they've had the sort of experience that you know you've just described there, then for us that's utopia. We've got a few more initiatives coming out this year. One of them is more about, you know, executive hiring, which anybody watching, keep your eyes peeled, because that's something that we're going to be doing very, very shortly, because our industry, you know, struggles when executives want to move. It's very difficult to promote yourself in an industry where everyone knows you. So we're kind of looking at that, and that's something that we're going to be launching just before Auto Mechanica this year. But great speaking to you, and thanks for your comments, Steve.
No problem. I just say I wish that I wasted that time before. I was kicking myself afterwards. Like, I can't believe I goofed, because I just ended up wasting so much time and energy when, you know, you were right there. It was just a really cool process. So yeah, if it happens again, I'm not going to. I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to waste any time. I'll be coming straight to you again.
Here's to the next time.